to have Hashem's blessing in such a way. So this week is a very special week, and therefore we hope that we're going to take the blessings of Shabbat into the week to make it very special, not to be brought down by everything the government is saying and doing and worrying how it's going to work and how it's going to happen, but concentrate on the blessings that Hashem gives and may it be manifest in the fullest and complete way. May manifest in the fullest and complete way for all of us, and in an open way that we can see all of the great blessings of Hashem. So we're now going to go to the Havdallah. Ine Yeshua siyavtak v'la yefchad yaziv zibras Adonai ba'yehi Yeshua Ushiyafte mayim bevesasayin mi mayne ya Yeshua Adonai ya Yeshua alamcha bechasecha selah Adonai tzevay simanu mizgavanu yaakov sela. Adonai tzvay ashrei adam b'teyach bach. Adonai Yoshia Hamelech yaneinu v'yamekarenu. Vayodim ha'vaysa v'vayra v'simcha v'sasayin v'yikar kein Tiyalanu kaiser shuezes of Hashem Adonai yakras avim elanon Rachato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'yedei pri hakafen Rachato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'yedei minei psamim Rachato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'yedei minei oesh Rachato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'mavdil ben kodesh l'chol Ben Lechaisha v'Yisrael Amim Ben Yaim Ashvi L'Shechizim Yamasa Baruch Adonai Amavdil Ben Kodesh L'Cholai. Now put out the candle. And we will take for the blessing of the cup of blessings. Dip our fingers in, take wisdom, parnasah in our pockets, and belief in Tchiyat HaMeitim in the back of our neck, so we can have all the blessings that we need for this week in a very, very real way. We'll do the grace after the drinking wine, then we'll go to our weekly story. Nee, Schleim in der König mehr über meine Wollen sich aus der Keine Bebracht für der Schöpfer. Okay, to hat nicht mit dem Kanal Khal Arets, war Brega von Magna Arets, war Free Agaf. So for tonight's story, I want to share a story connected to the Rebbe called Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, one of the most well-known Hasidic masters, one of the most colorful Hasidic masters. He was a colleague of the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, meaning he was the third generation of the Hasidic leaders. A very, very holy Jew, in many ways, lived in the city of Berditchev, where I actually was by his gravesite to pray there a few years ago. And beyond being a great man, a great scholar, a tzaddik, he was very well known for his advocacy on behalf of the Jews. And he somehow had an open door to heaven. And whenever he saw a fellow Jew, he only noticed the good. Even they were doing something that was wrong, he always tried to bring out the good that is within the Jew. So if he saw a Jew that was praying, and while he was praying, he was doing some menial task, people would say, look at this Jew. Even while he prays, he's busy taking care of his needs and not focusing on Hashem. Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev would say, look at this Jew. Even when he's focusing on his own personal needs, he's thinking of Hashem and he's praying. He always was able to see, and he advocated, and he used to sort of beseech God to bring good things for the Jews, always advocating good things for the Jews. And this is a story that happened with him and in his time in a small town in Ukraine, where in this small town there lived a fellow's name was Akiva. And Akiva was a very pious Jew, a very charitable Jew, very respected in his community, a tiny community, small little shtetl, small town, highly respected. And when Akiva became older, he decided that he wants to make Aliyah, live out the rest of his life in Israel, and as well be buried in the Holy Land of Israel. When his fellow community members heard about this, they were sad. On one hand, they were happy for him that he's getting his dream. Which Jew didn't dream or doesn't dream? Even in those days, everyone dreamed of making it to Israel and seeing the Holy Land, kissing the ground of the Holy Land. But they were sad because they were losing such a respected member of their community, a charitable person, a pious person. And in a small shtetl, every person counted very much, especially. But they gave him their best wishes. He sold everything, and he made Aliyah to Israel. And they were always wondering, how is it going? Did he reach Israel? You know, in those days, it was fraught with danger to travel from Eastern Europe, from Russia, or any of these places, Ukraine, to Israel. You had to go to a water, and the closest water was usually Turkey. And to get from Russia to Turkey was fraught with a lot of danger, pirates of the forest and many other things. It wasn't an easy, they didn't have highways and trains like we have today. This is about over 200 years ago. But they were always thinking, how did Akiva fare? How did Akiva fare? Anyways, to their surprise, one day, a year later, Akiva shows back up. Akiva is back in the shtetl. They're all shocked. Akiva, you just went to Israel. What are you doing back here? But tell us, how was Israel? Oh, he said, unbelievable. I went to the Kotel, I went to the wall. I went to Hebron, the birthplace of the Jewish people. I was in Tzfat, the city of the Kabbalists. I was in Miron, the gravesite of Rosh Shimon Bar Yochai, and every holy place where he was talking about where he was, and they couldn't stop listening to his stories. But Akiva, if it was so good, why did you come back? Why did you come back? He never answered that question. A few years went by, and he felt he was getting old and sick, and his end was coming near. So one day he calls in the Chevra Kadisha, the group of people that take care of burial, And he tells them, please come quickly, I have to talk to you. And they come to his house, and he says, soon I think I'm going to pass away. Okay, we'll take care of whatever you need, not a problem. He says, okay. And that's it. They leave. The next day, he calls them back again. They come, Akiva, what can we do for you? He said, forget about it. If I need you tomorrow, I'll call you tomorrow. Anyways, he called them 2 or 3 times. And finally, by the 4th or 5th time, he called them. They said, Akiva, you're a respected man. Whenever you call us, we'll come to you, but you can't just bother us and call us. Tell us what you want. He says, today I'm ready to tell you what I want. He says, everyone has asked me since I came back from Israel, why I came back from Israel. And I want to tell you the story. He says, I was a traveling businessman. Once, every year I used to go to Berdichev. It's a big town. It was a big, then those days, like a city. And in Berdichev, I used to do business. And whenever I went to Berdichev, I made it my point to be at least 1 or 2 Shabbases to spend with the holy Rebbe Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, to glean from his holy presence, to drink from his holy words. And he says, once when I was in a Berdichev, and I came to the shul of Rebbe Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev for prayer, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the shul, a person comes in, distraught, nervous, upset, and he says, Rebbe Levi Yitzchak, I need your help. He says, what's going on? What's going on? He says, I came to the city with a lot of money that people gave me to buy things. And in the inn I was at, my money was stolen. Rebbe Levi Yitzchak, if it was my money, it would have been half as bad. Okay, I lost my money, but this is other people's money. It was stolen. How am I ever going to face these people? They're never going to believe me. They're never going to want to look at me again. My name is ruined. I'm ruined. My family is ruined. I'm never going to marry my children. And he's crying. You must help me. So Rabbi Eliezer Berdichev turns to him and he says, who do you think took it? Do you have a suspect? So he says, yeah, I have a suspect. The maid that works at the inn, I think she took it. And they called the innkeeper and they asked the innkeeper his opinion. And he said, yeah, I think she's the only one who could have taken it. Who else has access to the rooms? But then the maid, who was a young Jewish girl, her father comes, the poor man comes running to Rabbi Yisrael and says, my daughter would never do such a thing. The maid was begging, please believe me, I never would touch, I never would steal, I never would do anything. And her father's pleading, she would never do anything. So Rabbi Yisrael Berdichev, this whole scene is unfolding in front of him. And he patches on the table, he bangs the table, says, listen here, we understand, we know that money was stolen. I do believe the maid that she's innocent, that she did not take the money. I don't know who took your money. But I'm making a statement now to everyone who's gathered around here in Shul, that if anyone gives this man who is so distraught the money that was stolen from him, I promise that they will have an entry card into Gan Eden, into paradise. She said, on the spot, this man who was dying, Akiva said, on the spot, I took out my money, and it was almost all the money I brought to Berdichev, and I put it on the table. I said, Rebbe, I'm giving the money. Rebbe Levi Yitzchak Berdichev wrote out a note that me, Akiva, Ben, whatever his father's name was, has an entry to Gan Eden, to paradise. Anyways, the next day, he comes back to Shul, and Rebbe Yitzchak Berdichev sees him, and he says, by the way, Akiva, I want to talk to you. Last night, we found the real robber. Someone came after the whole commotion and confessed that he stole the money. He had a weak moment, he stole the money. So I got the money back. I'm ready to give you back the money you laid out yesterday, but on one condition. give me back the paper with the promise for an entry to Gan Eden. So Akiva said, I'm sorry, Rebbe. That paper is never going back to you. I'm not giving back that paper. That's by merit. I'm holding on to that paper. And Rebbe Yitzchak Berditchev told me that when I feel I'm close to death, take this paper, give it to the Chevra Kadisha, and tell them when they bury you, they should put this paper in your hand and you'll go straight to Gan Eden. He said, I traveled to Israel and I sold everything. And all my books that I had, I gave to the shul, to the Beit Midrash. I forgot that paper with Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev's promise was sewn into one of my books. When I came to Israel, I remembered that I don't have that paper with me. And with all of the great holiness of being in Israel and even being buried in Israel, nothing comes near the blessing of Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev and his written promise that I'm going into Gan Eden. And that's why I left Israel and I came back here. So when you bury me, in the next few days I pass away, you'll bury me with the paper that I retrieved from the shul, my book. I'll be able to go straight to Gan Eden. The power of helping another Jew, especially when they're in a hard time. The power of tzedakah. And we know tzedakah happens with money, tzedakah happens with time, tzedakah happens in many different ways. So Hashem should help as we go into the week. And we usually look into the week to make some parnasah, to make things happen. Let's always look for at least one opportunity this week to do tzedakah. In any way, whether it's a phone call, whether it's giving someone a few dollars, whether it is helping someone in another way, giving time, and then Hashem will help. We don't even need the written paper, Lisa Berditchev. Hashem promises the power of tzedakah, what it does for us, and what it will bring to the blessing to us and our children forever. So this is the story. Shavua Tov. We'll sing Eliyahu Hanavi to that he should bring and announce the coming of Mashiach quickly in our days. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Atishbi, Eliyahu. Eliyahu Agiladi b'meheira yavay eleinu v'mashiach ben David b'meheira yavay eleinu v'mashiach ben David v'mashiach ben David. I just want to share that this week, many things are getting back to regular. We're going to have we'll go back to our journey around the world Wednesday night, 7:30. We're going to meet this week the Rabbi and Rebbetzin from Turkey, who are doing incredible work to hear what it is to have a Jewish community in an Arab country. And also, we're going to be starting this Friday, throughout the summer, 5:30, like we did before, so please join and tell others. Pre-Shabbat, community Zoom. We'll sing some of the Shabbat songs. We'll share some words of the Parsha and wish each other well to go into the Shabbat. And we'll keep the Havdallah going as long as it goes, until it gets maybe too late for people, so we can at least have a story take us for the week. So Shavua Tov, we love you all. We'll hope to see you on all these things and spread the word as well. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov, Chodesh Tov, be well.
Shavua Tov, Chodesh Tov.
Sharon,
Shabbat Tov, Rabbi.
Ellie and Lillian and Adam. Be well. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.